Hey everybody, this is a video just basically explain who I am and a little bit about myself there. Well, I am turning 50 coming up on the 5th of this month. Kind of, I don't know what you think about that. Half a century old. Wow, here we go. But it's good that we made it this far. I was born in 1970, just right at the end of the Apollo missions and right near the end of the Vietnam War. Uh, I was born in a little hamlet outside of Smiths Falls, Ontario. It's called Lombardy. I was born. I was raised there. Um, it was a lot of fun out there. I spent a majority of my spare time tinkering. Kid, I get uh, little things and being the male person that I am, and I like to take things apart at that time and see how they work, mechanics, stuff like that, and I've always been interested in that sort of. Um, I was I spent a lot of time failing grades in school, and nobody could understand why. And this was like right from grade one, kept falling behind, and they couldn't understand what was wrong with me and what was happening because this was back in like in the 70s and early 80s. So they put me into a school for special kids, called them slow kids, disabled kids, learning disorders. Um, but back then, in a nutshell, it was just for dumb kids. They they uh, they segregated us, and it was a terrible scene. Schools, like when all the other kids went out for kindergarten. I mean, not for kindergarten. All the kids went out for recess. We had our own recess. We were not allowed to be around other children. We were in a portable away from everybody. The epitome of segregating people back in that day was quite normal. Today, thank God it's not. Uh, like I said, I can't read it. Home time. I guess one of my favorite TV shows to watch was and actually act out on because of my age at that time. Did that. Lots of kids do that. They still do it these days. It's kind of comical to watch, but back then, it was just the way you did things, kid and as a youth. My favorite show was Star Trek, and I used to go into my mom's old collection of Super 8 films and watch the old black and white reels of the Apollo missions. Like they weren't by any stretch of the imagination clear and perfect. They were like copied from newsreels, and on these Super 8s back then, you didn't have sounds. That was pure silence. Loudest thing you heard in the room was the clacking away of the film projector. They once I was finally getting into the high school portion of it. I took mechanics courses, um, computer courses, and that's when I started to realize I could be learning more from doing hands-on practice than theoretical. Like you have kids that can excel in math and English and other types of education like that. But then you got the other half of the kids that it doesn't register with them unless it's something tactile they can do with their hands. So that's why I excelled in art and I excelled in um, auto mechanics, carpentry, machine work, and welding. This like most like that's when I started to realize that I my own um what do you call it? That's when I realized that my own setbacks were not technically really a setback. They were that was that's when it dawned on me that's my avenue to go. So when it came to high school, they passed me and graduated me just to get me the hell out of there. Just like I would when I hit the 50 percenter, I was right on the line. 50 percenter, they just passed me on. Like I literally I aged out of high school. Um, uh, I went into the workforce right away from that, and I went into labor. Like I already knew that my brain doesn't function the way a lot of other people's brains function, and I had to sit there and train myself to negotiate myself a way around the the aspects of learning how to do things just in my head without any sort of a hands-on kind of thing. And I found out really hard, and that's when I really kind of discovered I have ADHD. And I said back then in public school in the 70s and the early 80s, there was no such thing. It was there. They just didn't recognize it. It wasn't diagnosed. It wasn't a tangible thing. And then there was no programs out there for kids to get the help, the kids to have the help they needed to excel, like different paths for learning. So like I said, my the majority of my work experience in was either labor or hands-on type work. Like general labor, guy out there on the shoulder on the work site throwing the goon spoon, which is technically the shovel. That was me, many years. Um, I went eventually got my license. That was the hard thing to do for me because you're back into theory again. But once I got some help with that and I got going with that, I eventually got my license. I went and I learned to drive. And then I realized at that point in time, like, this I can do. Driving I can do. So when I'm back on labor again and I see these trucks going by, I said, I could do that maybe. So I went to a place that helps people with career changes, and I was able to get a grant to go out and get my heavy equipment license and my Class A license, which would be transport up here in Canada. So I drove trucks for many years all over the country, and the hours were not agreeing with me. So I decided I was going to stay local, and I drove dump truck for a good many years, probably almost 10 years. Um, so after a while, that my back couldn't take that much more because it can be a pretty rough ride. You get some pretty crappy trucks out there, and they don't maintain them well, or just the amount of hours of sitting there in their truck. Like you're up at 5 in the morning, and when you get home is when you get home. That's all there is to it. So many hours to spend in the truck. I got married about 4 years ago to my wife, Tanya. She's my best friend. She's my soulmate. I miss her when she's at work. We we had the opportunity to work together for about a year, and last year I was kind of a I was driving the truck. Like, that's my thing. I drive trucks. I'm good at it. So I was doing deliveries for a company, and I spent the majority of my day between the truck and in the warehouse, loading and unloading the trucks. And I did that for 2 years. And when my wife started on, I started noticing that I was getting tired starting around noon to 3. And I played it off. It was just, I'm getting older, just the same. So this kept going for a while. And then I started getting like pains in my stomach. And then one day I felt this, like a bump right just below my rib cage. And being the guy, push it off, keep going at it, keep working at it. And a, one night, me and Tanya were sitting on the couch, and I'm just like holding my guts. And I look at her, I don't feel right. I don't feel, something's wrong. She kind of looked at me, looked into my eyes. She goes, "Do you want to go to the hospital?" And I went, "Yes." So we get to the hospital. I get admitted, and I get put in a room. And 10 hours later, the doctors come back. They want to do an ultrasound. So they do the ultrasound, they disappear, they come back after doing the ultrasound, blood work, the normal stuff. And they tell me that I got tumors on my liver, across my abdomen, and they called it GIST, GIST. And I had 7 of them in my liver. So they cart me off to the CT scans. They do the biopsies just to verify it. And yeah, I was diagnosed with cancer, and they put me on they gave me my options of what can happen in that. And for my first option was to ask them, okay, so what do I tell my boss? And they looked me right in the face and said, "You are never going to work again." And that floored me to no extent. Like, you can be told you're getting fired. You can be told that your job is over. Yeah, your contract has run out. Been nice working with you. Have a nice day. Hope the future looks good for you. But when you get told, plain stone faced right to you, you are never going to work again. You are disabled. If you keep going, you will die. So that floored me. It floored my wife. My family was in utter shock. I'm so grateful for having Tanya there. She is my rock. And when the doctor told me to make plans, I told her right bluntly, I said, I already made my plan. I'm going to fight this. And I don't fight it. I do fight it for me, but I fight for Tanya, my kids. I got a beautiful family. We are empty nested now, and I fight every day for them. They are my people, my rock. Okay, so got that under the table. I've been battled, like I said, been battling this for almost a year. And last month, just to add icing onto the cake, I was going to see Tanya at work because I've been off work for almost a year on disability. So I'd spend my afternoons, I like during lunchtime, I'd go meet Tanya for lunch. Pretty much every day, you can set your clock on it, go meet Tanya for lunch, then come back home, do some housework, and try to keep myself occupied. Well, about a month ago, I was on my way back home, and I was riding the motorcycle, and I came up to an intersection. I had the green light right away, and as I was going through, there's that crosswalk line that's on every street. Well, hopefully it's on every street, but on this street it's there, quite visible. My front tire hit that, and there was a lady turning left at the other side of the intersection. She was at a full stop when I hit that line. All of a sudden, she just rolls right out in front of me, and I had nowhere to go, and I didn't even have time to react to them with brakes or nothing, and I plowed right into the side of her. My motorcycle got destroyed. I got smashed up, and the slow motion effect that people talk about is real. Like, as soon as I realized what was happening, it all went into slow motion. And it felt like an eternity crossing that intersection on the motorcycle. And then I could distinctly remember hearing the bang sound, and then me blacking out and me laying on the road on my back. I staring up at the sky. So obviously I knew that. So I go to the thing. So, well, you've been in an accident, Paul. First thing you want to do is don't move, but wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. So I do that. Everything seems to be working except one foot. So I look down at my foot, and it's just grenaded. Like my work boots that I was wearing for riding, my work boot wasn't even on my foot anymore, and my foot did not look like my foot. It would look like something out of this world. And then I looked at my left wrist, and it looked like, I just looked at it and went, that's not right. So the ambulance shows up, police show up, they cart me off to the hospital, and I spend 3 days in the hospital. And after I had surgeries on my foot, I had surgeries on my wrist. Like, there's a steel plate in my wrist now. And I'm not mad about the accident. The only thing that bothers me is that I was right there. I was completely visible. And I kind of understand why it happened. Like, They say loud pipes on motorcycles saves lives, and it's true, it does. But on the other hand, people do not look twice. And when you're driving in a car, when you come up the intersection, you see one vehicle, two headlights. One vehicle, two headlights. That's all you, 90% of the time you see is that. So when you see a vehicle coming up that has one headlight, and you can try it yourself, you probably already, it's happened to you. Like you're driving down the road, you will not see that vehicle because you don't see two headlights. It plays with your brain. You're so used to seeing something with two headlights on there. You automatically associate it with a vehicle. But as soon as you see one headlight, you do not react the same way. It's a proven fact, and it's happened to me. It's happened to my wife, and it happened to me. Like also on the other end of the stick, because I was the guy with the one headlight on my motorcycle, and I ate it for it just because of that. So we're going to go back a little bit towards my cancer here a bit. During my time when I got cancer, I was trying to figure out something to do to keep myself busy, entertained at home. So there's cleaning the house, keeping the house tidy. That's about all I could do. And I had an Xbox One, so I've been looking around, and I came across this game. It's called Kerbal Space Program. And I had a hard time getting used to playing the game. I didn't give up, because I never give up. I'll fight to figure it out. So I went through the processes of learning. Like I've never done the gameplay portion of it, like the career mode of it. I never did. I just dove right into the sandbox on it, because that's how I work. I don't learn through reading screens and following how-tos. I get into the sandbox and watch on YouTube how people build, and that's how I learned how to use this game. And I've come fairly proficient at it, and I enjoy spending time playing on this game. Like I build rockets, build buggies, I go to other planets, I put probes around other planets. It's pretty interesting. So you're playing a game, but you're learning. So what you're learning is constructions, how materials operate. You're also learning when you launch a rocket and it gets halfway up and it explodes, you got to figure out why it exploded. So you got to go there, you got to do diagnostics, you got to troubleshoot, and it's all part of the learning process, which is it's built right into the game. That if the game wanted you to play, they'd build a rocket for you, you fly it. But they want you to build a rocket and learn from your mistakes. And like I said, I got very proficient. Actually, I got very proficient at making mistakes, but I also got very proficient at playing the game. Excuse me, and learning how to build within the confines of the game itself and make it work for me. So you got your mechanical side, you got your troubleshooting side, and you learn indirectly how to do math and science. Like I learned orbital mechanics. I learned how that you can control two rotors going in opposing directions. And you learn by just figuring it out that the first rotor, say if it's related, I said it in the previous video when I did there, if you have a rotor running at clockwise at 14 RPM, you want the top rotor on top of it rotating at 28 RPM counterclockwise. So it's counteracting the torque. So you got you just built a coaxial rotor system for a helicopter. And you learned how to do that not by engineering. You learned that by trial and error, which builds you into an engineer. It's very grassroots. So after my accident with my motorcycle, the bike was rode off, so I had to find something to entertain myself with. So I decided that, seeing that I'm going to be laid up for a few months here due to the accident, I'm going to try to be creative in my own way. And I decided that I was going to try to do a stream. So I got around all the software I could find that was for streaming, and I I made a few videos, and I had decided that I was going to do a stream which was oriented around the fact that I'm going to put videos out that show the process of building rockets, how they work, describe it as it I'm building, what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, why I'm doing it. And if I make a mistake in the video and a rocket crashes, I don't go and delete that portion of the video. I leave it in there in its raw form. So I'll say like, okay, something went wrong. What went wrong? So I'll go back and I'll figure it out. So the people that are going to be watching this video, they're going to see that in the game itself, there's errors, there's going to be mistakes, there's going to be problems. And I want to be right up front and show them that I have them too. I'm not different than anybody else. And this is how I solve my problems in the game. And I hope that youth will watch these videos. I keep them all very family friendly. And, ow. I bet you everybody heard that crack. And that's my shoulder from the motorcycle accident. Lovely. Anyways, I hope kids get a chance to watch these videos too, because it'll show them that there is always a way to persevere and push through and learn and make it'd be fun. It's fun to learn. Like when you fall down, you pick yourself up, you try again. It just shows you general life skills that, and it also teaches, like I said, it teaches math, it teaches science, and it's a fun, productive way of doing it. Like I endorse Kerbal Space Program for all those factors. Like there's nothing in that game that's not in there for a reason. It's they try to make it as intuitive as they can, so it covers all age ranges. Like you can have a kid at 5 years old building a rocket and put it into orbit. They don't really have a clue how or the fundamentals behind it, but they've learned engineering, orbital mechanics, and they didn't even know it. That's what's great about it. So they can take what they've learned through this game, and when they go out into the, say, like when they get older, they get in school, higher end schools like mechanics and stuff like that, they'll have that fundamental skills already there to support them when they go through that. Like when you can have your 8 or 10-year-old child, literally a rocket engineer, and explain to people what orbital mechanics is. Like in the 1960s, nobody knew what orbital mechanics was. Nobody. And you got 10-year-olds running around today explaining this to 50 or 60-year-old peoples, and they're just dumbfounded, like, what is this kid talking about? So, yeah. I am posting videos about these adventures, and I have a page called it's called Anarchy Aerospace. It's a fun little page, and it's devoted to the process of learning, having fun, and the motto behind the whole thing is one misguided adventure after another. So there, you never know where you're gonna end up, how you're gonna end up there. Um, you got a good idea how it's gonna happen, but you never know if it's actually gonna happen. So you're playing with fate in this game, and it's fun. And I hope everybody that watches this video will take the time, and I'll put a link down in the video where you can find my page, and I hope you guys take a chance to check out some of my videos. Like and follow them. It would be greatly appreciated. I'm not looking out for fame. This is my hobby, and I enjoy doing it. And I hope you learned a little bit about me and see where I'm coming from. Like, you probably noticed when I'm talking, I'll go into these little lull spots where I'll just go dead silent, and then I'll go back into talking. There's a reason behind all those little nuances about me. It's just the brain's going, the mouth ain't following. Okay, it's I'm not a professional talker. This is how I am, and if I get better at it through doing these, excellent. If I don't, that's fine. I'm happy with myself just the way I am. So take that to heart. Take a chance. Like I said, come check my page out. Like, follow it. And I'm trying to support a community through my videos and explaining things through my videos. And I hope to see you there. And just, even if you just drop in to check out the videos, just in the comment, just drop a hello, and I'll respond to you right away. I'm always around. And if I'm not making a video, like I said, I'm always connected to the page in one form or another. So just, like I said, drop me a line, and I'll say hello, and we'll strike up a conversations. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, and I'm always more than open to answer all those questions. All right, so everybody, thank you for watching my video, and I'll see you again in some more videos, because there's lots more to come. Hope you enjoy it, and have a great day. Bye.